What's up everybody, this is Masquerade Gamer, and welcome to a sort of impromptu video that I decided I would do. I had a couple of my faithful viewers request me to sort of go through and do an analysis of what I thought about the new comic. And I didn't want to at first because a lot of other YouTubers have already been doing this, but it seems like people really wanted me to. And I do think this comic in particular has a lot of lore detail in regards to it. So rather than writing out a script or doing anything long and convoluted, I decided to just, live record as I'm going through. This will be the third time reading through the comic. And, I'll just kind of talk about the things I see in the comic as I go through. And my thoughts that I have now, and also initial thoughts, things like that. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. So we start off with showing Doomfist being broken out of the prison. Comes out. He then meets up with a Reaper, which is interesting because they're showing us, through comic visually, the process of his escape, which is cool. I'm glad that we saw this. I wasn't expecting to ever get to see it. I figured it'd just be story in the background. And then we proceed for Reaper and Doomfist to talk for a good bit. And this part is really interesting because they go very in depth with, the operations of Talon. And they talk a lot about, the failed Volskaya mission. Which is exceptionally interesting because, they're referencing literally a cinematic, which, I don't know, I guess I never really thought Blizzard would be that concise with all their different storytellings. I'm really glad that they're just tying it all together, and they're making it blatantly obvious this is one continual narrative happening. And you'll see they actually talk about a little later on about the assassination of Mondada. This is interesting. Reaper knows what Sombra did, which, when you think about it, changes a lot. Sombra's like, ooh, she's the one who's, more in control than anyone because she's in the background, she's hacking, she's working under Talon for her own means. But Reaper knows she's doing it. In fact, Reaper is in a better position than Sombra because Sombra presumably doesn't know Reaper knows she's doing it. So that's fascinating. That surprised me to hear that. And then they go on to talk about the assassination of Mondada, which is, tying in more of the cinematics, which I love. I'm so glad Blizzard is doing this. So they talk about they allude to the Uprising event, which is another tie-in. I love all the tie-ins in this comic. Let's see. So then they go on. He talks about, oh, that's right, the recall, where he retrieves. It sounds like he got some of the Overwatch members, not all of them, because Winston shut it off in time. And then Morrison and Amari, have they been assassinated yet? Evidently not, according to Reaper. And then we're introduced, well, this is the first time we see the name, we'll see him in person in a little bit, Maximilian. Now I've heard, well actually, before I get too in depth with him, I'll wait till he actually shows up. Because, now they're still, they've just escaped. And so now we go to Monaco. And we follow Doomfist and Widowmaker, which, by the way, please, Blizzard, please, we need a Doomfist white tuxedo skin. I mean, that's just, oh, that's so good. There's a lot of good costumes in this comic that, I think would make great skins. I mean, heck, Widowmaker's dress right there would be a great skin. Me personally, I really want the white tuxedo. He already has a spray in game showing off him in the white tuxedo, so come on, fingers crossed. Anyway, I don't want to dwell on that too long. Overall, as I'm getting to this next part here, this comic is very interesting because they go so in depth about Talon and about all the intricacies of it. They show off a bunch of new members. They show off that there's a bunch of inner turmoil in it, there's people turning on each other. We'll get to that in a bit. So Sombra's obviously their sort of operative who's feeding them info during this interaction where they meet up with Maximilian. Yeah, and then Doomfist says he doesn't trust anyone, presumably including Maximilian, who we then see show up and is in fact an Omnic, which I think is very cool. Because I love the Omnics, and I really wish they had a bigger role in terms of characters specifically. So, oh, and I love this part where he talks about, there's no such thing as luck, otherwise they'd let the Omnics play the games, because of course they're machines, they can calculate everything, so they'd be amazing at gambling, which I never even thought of that. That's just, I love that. So then they talk about prison, and I guess this will be a good time for me to talk about Maximilian, and about how people are thinking, you know, new hero, of course, because he's a prominent character that shows up. And, you know, when I read this the first time, before I even was looking at other people's, you know, comments about the comic, I saw Maximilian, and I was like, okay, it's, you know, obviously people are going to get excited, oh, new hero? And that's when I thought, you know, at what point is it going to be an issue that every time a new character shows up in the lore, in the comics, in the cinematics, people are going to try to jump on that being a new hero? Obviously, every character they introduce can't be a new hero. It wouldn't work. I mean, there's too many characters that are interesting and are cool, but they wouldn't make sense as a playable hero. And I think Maximilian is one of them. I know people have been talking about we need a healer in the game, which I absolutely agree with. And they've also been talking about we need more Omnics. What if we have an Omnic healer? What if Maximilian's the Omnic healer? Maybe. I mean, with Blizzard, anything's possible. I don't really think that's it. I think he's going to serve primarily as just this sort of interesting Talon member who, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if he shows up in a cinematic or a comic in the future, but I don't think he would be a playable hero. Because, you know, like, there's a lot of other characters like that. Like, you know, Brigitte, Reinhardt's assistant. She shows up in 2 comics, I'm pretty sure. And even a spray in game, people are like, oh, maybe she's going to be a hero. Maybe, but I mean, do we really want every single character in the Overwatch universe to be a playable hero? That seems a bit excessive. I feel like Blizzard can come up with some more interesting, you know, heroes instead of just only focusing on making characters playable. So this is when they start to talk about, you know, the discrepancies within Talon itself. There's the people who are all about money, which seems to be what the old Doomfist, the Scourge, was about, if you read his lore. If you read the current Doomfist lore on the website. And then we hear, you know, Doomfist start to talk about, you know, he doesn't care about the money. He doesn't care about the money or the power. He talks about that a little later on. We'll get to that. He cares about making, how to word it? Making, you know, humanity better. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to force evolution through war and conflict. Only the strong will survive. Which in some ways is a respectable and understandable stance. I mean, obviously, you know, don't go around starting wars and killing people just to force evolution, but I think he is such a cool motivation, which I love, because he's not just inherently evil. Well, I mean, maybe you could say he's inherently evil. But I think I'm getting a bit off track. I think I should focus more on the comics and less about Doomfist's morality. Oh, yes, and he talks about, oh, not you, of course. Of course, you know, Maximilian's happy he's out, and Maximilian's like, oh, of course. Which I think further emphasizes how just, you know, nobody trusts anybody. Like, Maximilian seems cool. He seems to be welcoming of Doomfist after his release. But is he really, or is he going to try to turn on Doomfist? I love how Doomfist is like the protagonist in this comic. It's so cool. And then, yeah, the another faction within Talon, I guess you could say, show up to try to deal with Doomfist. And they quite easily, as you'll see, take them out. Let's get to that. Oh, I love this part. No! So I wonder if that's indicating that Maximilian is on the side of people who care about money more than, you know, Talon's drive to perfect humanity and whatever. Just an interesting thing that I thought of. So yeah, we see Doomfist and Widowmaker pretty easily take out these guys. There we go. Easy enough. We need that tuxedo as a skin. We just need it. Yes, Viali's men. The people who I believe didn't like that Doomfist had gotten out. So, yeah. Once again, emphasizing the multiple facets of Talon. So then we move to Venice, where we get to see some more interesting skins in a bit. Or costumes, which maybe will be skins one day. Snipe. Alright, let's push through this. So yes, they're all in their positions. Widowmaker's doing what she does best. Pick off targets and make widows. Reaper standing up there. Sombra's knocked out the people and hacked in. I like that Jester skin. I think that's definitely a viable skin for her to have in the future. And then the Reaper himself. I love this skin here. I mean, I know it's a lot like the two sort of like mariachi skins he already has, which is why I don't know if they would actually make this a skin. But it does look very nice. I mean, look at that. All that billowing red. It's great. Reaper's so cool. He's one of my favorites. And then we see this guy who, I actually don't think we know his name. He shows up talking to Doomfist. And he's trying to be all, chummy and stuff. Oh, it's nothing personal, And like, oh, profits are, one thing. Like, it's, oh, I don't dislike you. I just dislike, the things you stand for and what you want to do. Then he's trying to be all, like, oh, I've prioritized Talon's direction to focus on money and power. And Doomfist is like, no, we're not criminals, even though, they technically are. Yeah, and then he says, oh, well, you're pretty much not a part of Talon anymore. Which is interesting, because I wonder if that's going to foreshadow... Well, maybe not. I was going to say, what if it foreshadows, Doomfist eventually leaving Talon and becoming sort of his own person, which he already kind of is. I don't know. I guess talk about more on that in the future. And then he's like, oh, yeah, it is. Oh, there you go. But you won't be coming along. Doomfist is so frivolous with just murdering people. It's great. Yeah, who was that? No one you should worry about. We don't even know his name. Reaper's like, alright, you just threw someone to their death. Alright, whatever. just go along with it. So I think this was them sort of like, God, I have an example in mind. I can't think of what it is. I'll mention it if I think of what it is specifically. But, they're just going around picking off the people they don't like, refining the Talon organization into their own interests. And they're going in, and then they meet some very, very interesting characters. So it looks like we have Maximilian sitting there, which is understandable. And then as we see in the bottom picture here, we see Reaper, and immediately to his left is some guy, not too descript, but then the guy to his left, he almost looks like Junkrat. Like, he looks like the Joker, first of all, with like red hair. Some sort of crazy maniacal person. He looks a lot like Junkrat, which is interesting. Because I'm pretty sure it's not Junkrat, because first of all, Junkrat would never dress that nice. Also, I don't think Junkrat would ever join Talon, even if at certain points their views align. He would never join an organization like that. He's got Roadhog, and the two of them are on their fun mayhem streak. So these are some interesting characters here, and I would love to see if they show up more in the future. So yeah, again, there's Maximilian, who I hope becomes a prominent character. I don't think he would work as a hero, but he's intriguing, partially because I love these sort of like, oh, calm mastermind people, and also he's an Omnic, which I love the Omnics. And then we have a war to start. And that ends it. So, now that I've sort of, walked through my thoughts as I go through the comic, overall, great comic. By far one of the most in-depth story-wise. And a lot of the other comics have seemed to have talked about things that did happen, like the Uprising comic, the I don't know, Reinhardt's comic, all those seem to talk about, past events, alluding to the history of the past. What I like about this one is it's alluding about the history of the history of the future. Stuff that's going to happen, which is so cool. Because this is evident that, Blizzard's going to give us more story progressing forward with the game, not just all flashbacks like the Uprising event. So this is so cool because we see how Doomfist has become reintroduced to Talon. By the way, we've actually seen Talon now. We now kind of know what it is. Before, it was this incredibly vague terrorist organization. We only knew 3 members, Reaper, Sombra, and Widowmaker. And then we knew Doomfist. And now we've been introduced to, all these other people, even if they don't have names. We do have some with names, Maximilian and Viali, or whatever his name was. And then, oh my god, it's so much more fleshing out Talon organization, which I love. And I can't wait to see more of that. Sort of building on the world itself, the world of Overwatch, the universe, the different characters and organizations within it, aside from just the Overwatch organization. So anyways, I think that's the big gist to get out of it. Before I wrap up, I will just mention again, new hero possibilities, new skin possibilities. Absolutely both are present in this comic. Do I think any of them will be new heroes or skins? Some of the costumes we saw would, I think, make great skins. I don't know necessarily that they will be. The one Sombra sort of jester skin, the Doomfist tuxedo, the Reaper, skull outfit. I think all of those would work really well. I'm not sure. I mean, I guess it'll probably come down to how much people beg for it, to be honest. I mean, if Blizzard's hearing tons of people say, yeah, white tuxedo, Doomfist, and believe me, I'll be one of those people, then, I think they probably would. They would at least take into consideration heavily, if they haven't already. And then as for new heroes, Maximilian seems to be the big one people are looking at. I don't particularly think he will be a new hero. I feel like, see, I get nervous. I got nervous when I did see Doomfist revealed, because I don't as much like the idea of taking an existing character and making them a playable hero as taking an idea for a playable hero and making them into an interesting character. I feel like it can be risky, because if you pigeonhole yourself with Doomfist, oh, he has to have the big gauntlet or whatever, you're really limiting your options when it comes to making, new playable heroes. So the opposite of that is oh, what if we have a cool hero who uses a fist? Yeah, who has a gauntlet. And from there, then you go okay, well, how can we make this, what sort of character would this be? Oh, okay, what if he's this big, strong African man who, I don't know. I think you guys probably get what I'm saying. But regardless, I think it's certainly possible for Maximilian to be a hero. Not particularly likely, in my opinion. Anyway, I think I've made this video long enough. It's quite an abnormal video, I will say. So, anyways, thank you all for watching so much, especially if you've watched through to this point at the end. And be sure to leave comments down below saying whether you liked this sort of more impromptu video style, if you like this sort of in-depth analysis, or if you prefer my other stuff, which, it's okay if you do. I'll be putting a poll card up in the corner so you can kind of fill in so I get some stats there. Anyways, be sure to hit the like button if you did like this video, and as always, subscribe, follow me on Twitter, and click that bell icon to keep up with all my other video stuff. This is Masquerade Gamer, signing off. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, let's hope for some more good story stuff like this comic. And have a great day.